meeting, March the 21st, 2022, to order. Everyone, please stand and ask Janet to lead us in the prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, focus your thoughts on all that is true, all that is holy, and that it is just, all that is pure, all that is lovely, and all that is worthy of prayer. And the peace of God, the peace that goes far beyond anything else we can comprehend, the peace will guard our hearts and minds as we are in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Dean, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from February the 23rd and the public hearing from February the 28th and the city council meeting on the 28th. Do you want to do those together? If you have the opportunity to review those at the workshop, do you have any corrections? No corrections. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from February the 23rd, the 28th, and the city council meeting on the 28th?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, next we'll have committee reports. Matt, you want to come up and do the police report, please?
For the month of March, we had 10 incidents, 7 arrests, 4 being males, 2 being females. We had 2 miscellaneous reports and 12 incident reports. And that'll be all for the month of March.
Does anyone have any questions for Matt? The chief had an emergency, he said, so he's not here tonight. And Sergeant Fulmer was in class 2, so that's the reason Matt's doing this tonight. And then we have another officer back there, another one of the officers back there.
Matt, is an incident also an arrest? I mean,
Incidents can be an arrest. Any kind of report we do, typically we do an arrest report for each arrest. Incidents are anything like if we see someone out or a call. If we get a call at the MAPCO, we always do an incident report for any time we come encounter with the public.
Any other questions?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
We do appreciate y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next will be the fire department. Number fire chief here.
Good evening.
And
On the first, up there on your sheets here, I was looking to maybe get a capital purchase for fire hose. I'd mentioned it through the past month about we're about 1,000 feet short of 2.5-inch hose. It would probably, I think initially I told you it's going to be like $6,700. I finally got the results back today from my last bid, and it came down to like $4,300. So that's kind of the one I went with. Fire hose is fire hose. So, I mean, I don't think it would smash the general budget right now that we've got as bad as the 7,000. But if we can make it a capital purchase, I mean, if that's something you guys are willing to entertain, I'd like to request that part for your consideration. The next big money was the department's cascade system. That's the system that they use to fill their air bottles with and their breathing air. That system is required, by law to be certified and air quality check done to it annually. It's not been done since 2019, so that kind of needs to be done immediately. We do have that in our budget. That's going to be around $1,500. The company that services that's out of Chattanooga. I'm waiting on them to schedule with it. And the big article, the big write-up there, the last paragraph, we've been entertaining and looking at PS Tracks. It's an inventory and asset control for basically everything. For the fire department, it's fire department drive software. that's used for inventory, maintenance records, life expectancies and lifespans, depreciation of all your equipment, everything. I mean, it pretty much does the whole 9 yards. That's an annual, one-time fee of $3,000, and then it's an annual reoccurring contractual services expense of $1,500. So that's in there because we just finished up the Zoom meeting right before I come in here. I have kind of a slideshow that I printed off for you, so I just got one copy of it. I'll be glad to give it to you when I get done, and y'all flip through it and see what you think about it. That money's there too. That money's in this fiscal budget right now to allow us to do that. So we're trying to figure out and cross the T's on it. March 11th, we had the 16-hour intro to pumps. We had 27 members from 5 different departments that came. The practical date will be the 27th of March. The 64-hour state rookie class is going on. Has been since March 8th. There's 18 members from 4 departments that's attending that right now. That'll go through April 23rd. To date, for the month, we've responded to 6 calls. We've used about 3,100 gallons of water. We've just been making general repairs to items and different apparatuses and equipments through the station. Preventive maintenance, that's what we're working on this month and trying to get that in order. I've also appointed an assistant chief, Mr. Kevin Gillum. Kevin was going to come to us tonight, but he's in East Tennessee on a business trip for work. So Kevin, he's riding the desk with me. So that's all I've got for you.
Okay, what about your gear? I know you told me that you needed,
I've tabled that.
Well-
I've got response today. You know, the set of gear that I told you about was about 12 months out. Well, the other guys is about 16 to 20 weeks out, so I'm not fooling with it right now.
so,
We'll
but
figure
how
it
do, well, I'd rather go ahead and approve if we can find the gear. Because another thing that Travis has said is that his gear that he personally wears is worn out. And it's between,
There's a set that's ordered, that's been ordered probably for 4 months through our regular distributor, but that gear is globe equipment, and that's about 12 months out right now. So it'll be well into December before I even see gear.
So it'll be the next budget year
Yes,
before we have to pay for it
yes,
anyway.
yes.
Gotcha.
So,
but he need to find you some gear. Is there any way you could call one of the other bigger departments like Tullahoma or
I'll find
Manchester or
some.
somebody
Yeah,
that we can even buy a set from if we need to, that then, you know, because we need to get him, we need to get him gear, because we can't send a man out in particular without gear, so, and it's not on here, so.
No, I took it off. It was on there and I took it off
No.
after I found the.
Well, we're not gonna
deadline.
take it off because it's, we don't want to send you out with the right gear.
Can Steve find anything from Impact?
No,
Well,
I
Steve
wouldn't say
can,
so.
maybe Manchester, maybe some of the bigger departments can find something, you know, that he can use that we can buy from them. But,
I'll figure something out. I mean, I'll let y'all communicate with you and let you know.
but I wanna go ahead and include it in tonight, at least to get you your gear. So
Some get by gear, the gear that I was looking at just to get by was about $2,300 was the price on it, just to give you an idea. So,
So you said the air breathing system is covered within the operational budget, and the PST tracks is also within the
Yes.
operational budget. The $4,300 in hose, last time I checked, there was enough budget in the tools and equipment within the operational budget to
I
cover
think
that
there
as
is, I
well.
think you're right, Nate, but I mean, since I've gotten this lower bid today, I've not opened it back up and noticed it. I mean, I already had this prepared and I already had in my mind I was gonna present it,
Okay.
so that's where I'm at with it.
And he had to get 3 bids because it exceeded the 1,500.
If it's there in my budget, absolutely, I wouldn't move to do
Did
a
he get 3 bids?
capital purchase.
Yeah, he said he had 3 bids, 3 quotes, he's got 3 quotes here
Yeah.
on it, so, yeah, there they are. And that's the one he chose to get, so, he has 3 quotes.
And will that hose get the new engine fully
Yes.
operational by ISO?
Yes, that'll make us to ISO, that'll meet the 1,200 feet of hose that you're supposed to carry on hand for supply. Right now we've got about 800 feet of 4-inch hose on the truck, so, you know, kind of need the, I was gonna put another 800 feet of the 2.5 on there that I'm trying to order, and then we have to have on-hand hose as well for ISO, so that'll give me 200 feet to put on hand to replace damage if we have it.
So according to this is just basically for information, the first 2 items, but the second 2 items, which we did find this out with contractual services, we need to do that every year. You know, a contract needs to be reviewed annually with software and other things that we do. But the 4,500 for that, and at least 2,500 to get him some gear. And I'm saying that in case he can't get it for 23, if he can. You think
And
he can?
to echo what Mayor's saying with the contractual services, that, you know, right now, I know that the upcoming year, we're looking at like 2,000 on contractual services. That was for our e-dispatch, that's our paging system. Now, if we go with this PS tracks, I'm gonna try to incorporate another 1,500 to make that 3,500 for my contractual services, just because it is a contract revolving expense.
So I was just asking Debbie, look, it'll be the total, if we do 2,500 and the 45 he's asking for this first year, it'll be a $7,000 that we need to amend the budget to approve for him to extend
I don't,
this.
if the fire budget is still the way it was last time I looked at it, we shouldn't need to amend the budget. We should be able to pull it from the 3 line items within the operational budget of the fire department.
You're right.
It's what
If
it
you
was
have the
last
budget
time.
with
unless
us,
things
I don't
change.
think, well, if we need to, we can go ahead and do this, but I thought when we looked at it the other day, you didn't have it for gear and maintenance when y'all were talking about it.
It wouldn't
So you
matter.
said we'd have to amend, you said we would have to amend the budget because we're buying the hose.
That was looking at it at
Yeah.
what was it, $6,700, looking at it, it's gonna smash the budget.
Right, because we're adding the hose to that, Nate, and the other 1,500. Of course, that was the day, well, the workshop, so that was discussed.
My priorities out of everything on there is the hose and the breathing air, the rest of it I can care less about.
Well, you've got the money for the hose, we said, and you've got the money for the breathing
Okay.
system. But it would be the other $7,000 for the software and his gear.
So we need $7,000 for software here. We got $3,000 for the software.
3,000 plus
We got
1,500?
the last I checked, Matt, was 3,000, don't quote me to a T, but like 3,036 in contractual services remaining. That's where I was getting the 3,000 up front. That should take us through to the next fiscal.
Yeah, the 1,500 is next fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't have to pay it when you go in for a
No.
setup, okay. So then it's just 2,500 for his gear?
But is it realistic that you're gonna get here within this fiscal year? I mean,
Hey, you're gonna try to, aren't you? You're not gonna wait.
Yeah,
so you think you might be able to find something?
if I come across it, yes. But I'm not waiting 16 to 20 weeks. You know what I mean? I'll just ride it out and do what I have to. I mean, I'll borrow some, I don't care.
Oh, if we can purchase you some, we can go ahead and purchase,
Yes.
is what I'm trying to get approved
Yes.
tonight, so you
Absolutely.
get good gear. Because we're not gonna send you out in something that's a liability and could get you hurt.
I understand.
Why don't we do it in, so we've got 43 and 1,500 and 3,000, that's all within the operational budget we think? And then we can authorize up to 2,500. And then would we need to do a budget amendment, Debbie, on that now? Or we don't even know that money is,
We're not sure.
it's
what
not
the budget
spent. Yeah, it's not spent yet. And then when it actually comes in, then we could do a budget amendment if needed, if it doesn't come out of the fire department budget. So I would make a motion that we approve 3 purchases out of the fire department budget, one for 433645, one for breathing air systems repair not to exceed 1,500, and one for the PST tracks asset program for $3,000, all to come out of the fire department operating budget
This year.
this year.
Okay.
This year. That's a motion.
All right, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now the other would be 2.
And so, can I make a motion to authorize Travis to procure gear up to $2,500 for his personal use? And I say it will come out of the fire department budget as well, but we may have to do a budget amendment to make it work. Okay, yeah.
Yes. So that's your motion?
Is that too wordy for a motion?
No, that's good.
No.
I'll second.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye. His report, your report's down here, correct? Yep.
Yes.
So, anybody have any other questions for Travis?
Did you have had a chance to get a conversation with Earl yet? And
I have, me and Earl met on the code side. Earl and I think last Wednesday, Roland and I sat down and met, kind of went over some things, swapped some phone numbers, emails, and I've actually got a complaint today that I'm gonna look into. I'll probably get in touch with Earl tomorrow and reach out for that, so that's on the move.
He's gonna go with you to sort of get to the process rolling?
Yeah, great, he's overseeing everything.
The forms are online, because people wait to complain them, they have now been put online. Of course, they are submitted, and weekly, he will pick those up, unless it's a live situation in it, and then he'll report back, working with Earl to get those done.
Okay, when you say they're online, they're City of Monteagle
Yes, the website,
website, City of Monteagle.
Town on Monteagle,
Sorry,
sorry.
Monteagle, sorry.
Yep. So, but they made a request at one of the town hall meetings if we could put it on there as a simple fix, so, well, I need to put it on.
Good.
Good.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next we have Park and Recreation. Do you,
Okay, I want to thank Eli Wilson for making the picnic tables that are now at the baseball field, and the donors who donated so that he could complete his project for his Eagle Scout accreditation. And the next big thing that we're doing for the park is right behind us in Hannah Pickett Park on April the 7th at 10 o'clock. We'll have our Easter egg hunt. Last year we had about 300 children, so we
it's
expect
the ninth.
the ninth.
It's the ninth,
I
sorry,
keep
that's
saying
okay.
the 7th. That's not the right day. It's the 9th.
It's the ninth.
And
10 o'clock, yeah.
last year, we had about 300 children from the area. We expect to have at least that many so far. I'm going to meet with some of the ladies of Laurel Lake Drive tomorrow. We're going to stuff 6,000 eggs that'll be hidden for the children to find. And we'll also have the Easter Bunny come, and people can take pictures with the Easter Bunny, adults or children. And we're hoping that there's going to be a big surprise that we're not ready to talk about right now on the same day as the Easter egg hunt. So I hope that you'll come or bring your grandchildren or children and let them have a good time. Hope for good weather.
I think our small person just stepped out for a minute, didn't he, Jessica? Dominic came in, but he just stepped out, so I don't know if he's going to. Okay, pass this. Well, this is something, I got a call from Grundy County and went to a meeting, was it last Thursday afternoon? It was in the evening, but, they're proposing a county-wide park director that would work with all the parks, and it would just be the Grundy County side. They're trying to work on this and, of course, develop this program through the state. Grundy County is going to have a pilot, going to be a pilot program for them. Do you have that in there? The first I heard about it was last Thursday. It was last Thursday night at 7. So it would probably be our portion. They said between $4,000 and $2,000. I think that we can probably review this online. If you see there's a website that you can look for Park and Recs, and as they develop this, we could decide at our next meeting if we want to be involved in it.
So each municipality would pitch in to cover the cost, or this is probably one of those seed money grants, so the state's paying for it for a couple of years,
Well,
and then we got.
Grundy's gonna have to pay, they said they would pay 50%, and the county's participate, or the city's participating, it would pay a percentage, and yes, for 3 years, it'll be seed money, and then after the 3rd year, the county has to take it in the cities. But we just have to decide, I mean, if this gives you time to look over it, and at the next meeting, we can talk about it, because I didn't get it till last week, so.
Is there another copy of it?
Yep, you can have this one.
I got it.
You
Jessica,
get one?
give me hers.
Okay. All right. And
There's one in your packet.
Back there.
okay, we're gonna go to the next item, and then when the baseball coordinator comes back in for the program, then we'll let him do some talking. Utility manager, John's here and Travis is here, so we're engineers to talk about some things, so we'll go from there.
I don't have a lot, but people on the hydrant started on the 14th, low testing hydrants, maintenance. And we started painting, or they had started painting the water plant. And Florida got their hat. We'll paint it, get it lettered up, hopefully.
Did you find out anything else about that wall that needs to be repaired off the water plant?
No, I gotta get back trash and
Okay. So, just checking to see. Travis is here, he was gonna talk about the two grants that we were talking about doing.
I looked at that contract that you gave me today,
Yeah,
everything looks good to me.
okay. What he's talking about, of course, Nate, you had worked on it with, Sam, is that we did complete the contract for Mr. Tate, and he has signed that and it's been notarized, so as soon as the weather breaks and I have time to schedule that, then you can get with him and tell him what necessary steps so we can move that water
I'll
line.
make a 811 call when we get close to
Okay.
the time.
So if y'all just can, I mean, you've got his number and you can touch base with him.
The place has changed,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I think it's still the same thing where it was. Is it Cornerstone? No?
Cornerstone Properties.
Cornerstone Properties, so, but that is completed. One thing I've released, we've been working on. So,
Other than that, unless y'all have any questions.
There's, I'm not sure who's the question for, in King Street, it looks like next to one of the culverts, just below Becky Byers' house, the road seems, something's going on subsurface, and it's so close to a manhole, I don't know whether it's sewer related, might be worth checking out sometime. It's not drastic, it just appeared though in the last
Over
couple of weeks.
Folks, North Central.
Right there at the base of the hill before you go up to Becky's house, there's a culvert, or there's a manhole, and right next to the manhole cover, you can see the roads just started sinking.
Yeah, that all happened when part of that pipe bursting.
Yeah.
When they
Two of
did that,
them.
we've got several of them then.
So it was just something that didn't get compacted after they put it back together, or?
Well, they didn't dig nothing. They pulled the pipe through and bursted the other one and pulled the other one as they went. So I guess the ground's just settling. I mean, we'll look at it, but
Okay.
Who's they?
12 years ago when they did, they'll be looking at it, but 12 years ago is when they did the pipe bursting, wasn't it? No,
yeah.
not 12.
If you'll notice, it's all over
Probably
town.
10,
They're
yeah.
all over town
Yeah,
now.
they one there, what's that guy that lives right there on the hill? When you go down to Baldwin Hill, he lives on the right, what's his name, George? You know,
Overton?
No, on the other, North Central.
No.
Ben and them?
Yeah, Ben.
Ben Davis?
That
Okay.
one right there to North Central, it's been bad for a while, we filled that in, twice, I think.
Yeah, and then they tar and chip over it.
Yeah.
So you need to have those checked. That's the first step. That's what you're saying, Nate. You need to check them.
Yeah, I just noticed it as something new. I'll bring it up.
The bridge has been taken care of, been better, or whatever you were gonna send.
No, they still, I guess they're still working on it, I don't know, have you heard from them? I went over there the other day and they cleaned it all up, but what they done, I don't know.
Well, we'll just need to follow up however we need to, since you'll have to turn that into the DDEC.
I'll call him.
Yeah, and just see what's going on over there.
I did get a guy from Stevenson called me, septic tank guy, a grease trap guy, said he was gonna give him a price on it, but I hadn't heard back from him yet.
Travis, do you want to talk about the grant applications you're working on? And then we'll have a workshop about the other grant with the council, so you can explain it to them on the one we received, on how we want to pursue that, since we won't matching dollars with it.
So we put in for a SRF grant. An application was put in on Friday is when they were due. And so the way that works is they have an application period once a year. If you miss that application period, then you have to wait till next year. And so it doesn't really cost anything to put one in. You're not obligated for the money at the time. But if you don't put application in to request to be ranked on the list, then you miss out on any type of potential monies that may come down the way that may be associated with the ARP funds and the federal dollars that are circulating around. So we put one in for the water tanks to be rehabilitated, 1.5 million to do both tanks. We also put in for the CDBG, and by the way, that could be used for a new tank or a rehab of the existing tanks, because we also submitted application for CDBG to also rehab the water tanks, because that's a high priority item that costs a significant amount of money to do, but they both need to be rehabilitated. And so we were not successful in getting CDBG funds last year. It's likely that that may happen or could happen this year, and so we put in 2 different applications. The SRF can be switched for a new tank, or they'll even allow you to switch that to do water line upgrades. So there's some flexibility in that. The CDBG would be more principal forgiveness than grant. I think it's maybe a 24% match. So right off the top of my head, I think it's $630,000 grant versus $180,000 match, total $800 some odd thousand dollars. So the better deal is the CDBG funds. However, we didn't get picked for that. There's a short list that you have to qualify for. So because those are important projects that need to get completed, we put 2 projects in knowing that SRF could be manipulated and flexed into something different if needed. And if we decide we wanted to go with that, and if there's additional grant or profit sharing type funds that come along with ARP money, that we may find out later on this summer. So it just gets us in the game for some potential grant funds that we won't know about later on. So those are two applications that have been submitted for the water system.
We want to know something when?
That's a good question. So typically and historically, the SRF priority list is announced in May. CDBG is announced in August. But this last year, they were both announced just after the first of the year, because they were waiting to see how all this federal funding was going to come out, if they could use some of that to fund some of the applications. So my guess is that will be the case this year. There's a lot of federal dollars that have to be spent. There's a lot of rules and guidelines, and my guess is that they may likely start attaching some of those grant dollars to some of these applications that are in, and provide an avenue to give more grant monies or subsidized funding, just so that the money can be used for projects. And so they won't know that till later in the year. And so my guess is that they won't have those ranking lists out until the fall, probably. And so at that time, when the list comes out, you'll know about it, you'll be sent a letter, and then at that point, you can decide. They'll have a guideline that this loan comes with X principal forgiveness, or we're attaching X number of dollars ARP funds, or maybe there's none. And at that time, you can choose to go forward and accept that and go through the loan process, or say, you know, that doesn't fit within our budget, we can't make it happen, and we're not going to do anything. And we'll send a letter and turn down the loan request.
But if we don't apply, we don't get anything. We missed it before, so you have to be in the game.
Yeah.
It has a weird.
And we've applied early, so chances are good.
Yeah, we've met the deadline and applied for both of those.
And we've got the GIS systems done that we've been working on to show them, and of course, that's what the commissioner told us.
That's correct. We should have a report finished. The maps are up and going, and I think some folks came up and have a training a week or so ago. So the stormwater, the water system and sewer system maps are online and available for usage. All the reports and whatnot, the data that have been gathered as part of those projects are available on the map. We'll bring a hard drive up and give everything hard copy, or not hard copy, but electronic copy on a drive to sit here locally, so that you have everything that we have, even though it's accessible online. So we'll do that here in the next week or two.
So can we, once we get this finished with the hydrants on there as well and all that done, can we actually link to the website where people, of course, they can't edit it, but they could see it if they needed to, and once we add the roads to it, so that'd just be accessible, because somebody would too from, okay.
Yep, so once the testing data is received, they'll send in a database. We can take that database and then just merge that with a map. And so when you click on a hydrant, pull that up. So probably by the next board meeting, I can spend 15 minutes if that's something that y'all want to do, or do it at another time and pull the map up and give you a show and tell as to what access there is. And so that's accessible. It's not meant to be for public consumption. It's a secured water and sewer infrastructure, and so it's not something that should just be handed out to everyone and made public, but it's for use for the utility, and staff and members of the board certainly could have access to that. Utility department, certainly, that's what their job is, and so it's just not, shouldn't be made public for everyone to have knowledge of where the water and sewer system go.
But I mean, just to show
Sure,
them where
absolutely.
it's at, not to
Absolutely.
have total access, that it was done and completed.
So it's password protected, and y'all have a password. I think they assign passwords out, and we can change those, or we can add users, and so that's a control map that y'all have access to.
And our water department has been trained on it, or is being trained on it, how to use it.
I think y'all had,
Sarah come up last week.
Yep.
Sit down with us.
So how do y'all feel about it finally having something to where we can probably, what would you say, 95%?
It's different.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then. It's a learning process, right?
Yep, it's all digital. You can take your phone out there and find a manhole and sewer valve and just walk around and see where it's at, and where the line's at, where service laterals are at. So
What is the interface?
just the phone, internet, so you can pull up anywhere you have internet access, you can pull that up. There's a
Is it app-based? Is it
Yep.
Esri?
It's
Is it
Esri.
Esri product?
It's a Survey 123 application through Esri, so you can download that Android or iPhone, and then you sign into the group via the account that we set up for y'all, and then it'll automatically pull those maps up, and then you'll have access to the storm map, the sewer map, or the water map.
So I already have an Esri online account. Can I just send you my information and get linked to the data?
Possibly. I'll check on that and see, just because it's a secured,
Yeah.
I don't know that
I have
we
to
can
give-
morph individual accounts into that, but,
Give me permission at least.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing it.
I'll check on that and see.
Well, we'll get access to it, and then once he sets it up again, or they come back, being
If
on the
it's-
council, but.
If it's in Survey 123, we can do the road database. I mean, we do all our inventory. I do all my inventory stuff at work in Survey 123. It's pretty straightforward software.
And it can be added to, so roads or whatever other data that you collect or the
Streetlights.
town wants to collect in the future can just be added as a separate layer to that.
Well, I've already got the shapefile for the streetlights, so they can be dumped directly in now.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying, they could be bumped into it, so that
That's
would.
just a couple of clicks.
Yep, if you send us a shapefile, then we can add a layer to that map and have streetlights or whatever on there, and so your map can continue to grow with different layers on there.
So next, since you've got that, can you send it to Travis? So they
Yeah,
can-
I'll follow up with an email so
Okay.
we can
Okay.
get lined up with that. And also, I can send you the shapefile for the streetlights. Question, didn't you tell us early on that CDGB grants, we won't rank very high for maintenance projects like water tower?
That is correct. The likelihood of getting that, which is another reason why we put in SRF grant, it's the same, basically the same kind, because of that possibility. This next go-around, only 15% of the CDBG grants will be for water and sewer. And so but supposedly they've said that it's for small utilities that have been caveated by the number of customers, which Monteagle fits inside of that, but you're still in competition with all other small utilities in the state. And so there's only 15% of that money allocated for community block grants will be allocated for water and sewer. So it's still a pretty low chance. I mean, there's a lot of competition, and so that's why we put an SRF loan in for that as well, because we don't want to find out we didn't get that, and now we got to wait another year to put something else in. So that gives you more options to fund something, because your tanks are getting in pretty bad shape based on a report that you got 2 years ago. And so, you know, you don't wanna just keep waiting another year for a funding cycle. At some point, you know, an emergency repair is gonna be very costly, instead of having something that's planned and bid and done properly, so.
That was the reason I asked the question. At what point should we just suck it up and start working on our stuff? Because, you know, if these CDGB grants and the state revolving loan fund aren't gonna cover the total cost, does it, at some point, it's gonna get more expensive the longer we wait, and should we start working on at least one and get that process rolling? And maybe we don't need to do it till we hear about these grants, but, and I think I asked this question last year, at what point do we just need to start working on them? Because I think, I'm feeling like we ought to start working on them.
Probably yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm just
You know,
checking, that's
best
what I was
bet-
2 years
feeling.
ago, Nate, we
Yeah.
should have been working on it.
The best time to plant a tree was yesterday, so, it's, yeah, it's a, I mean, it's an expensive endeavor, and it's costly, and small communities and utilities like yourself have an issue where you have a small customer base, but you're having to keep up the same amount of infrastructure that maybe a mid-size utility has with a larger customer base, so you're at a disadvantage, and you have to use grant monies to make up that cost. Otherwise, you have to, you know, it takes a lot more budgeting long-term to do these big projects, because it's not something that can be done cheaply, and it's hard to do 2 or 3 big projects at one time of a utility this size. But yes, I think that's a significant project that needs to be considered more sooner than later, just because the repair in an emergency situation would be very costly, and would cause, you could work around it in your system, but it would be, you know, it'd be costly, basically, and inconvenient.
Well, if 1.5 million fixes both tanks, did I hear that right?
That's our estimate, that's right.
But it seems like
one
we ought to
time.
be able to cash flow that in some smaller chunks, if we think about it in the budget process. We're going through the budget process now. So,
You could.
does it make sense for us to go ahead and think about in next year's budget, going ahead and putting some money aside to say, we're gonna start working on these tanks, come hell or high water, because, well, we wanna keep the water up there. That was a bad analogy.
Yeah, I think that's part of the budget, but too, part of it is if you get a state revolving loan, then you get it at a low interest rate, and then you can pay it back. You don't have the money in reserves, which on the 19th, we have another budget meeting, so.
That's right, so the SRF fund, so if the CDBG falls through, then the SRF is, like the mayor said, is very low interest, which is, you know, bond is maybe 3 or 4%, whereas SRF might be 0.9%. And so that's a significant difference. And then your payback is 20 years. You might get a longer payback on a bond, but SRF is 20-year payback with probably for y'all, it's gonna be in less than 1% interest. And you might get some principal forgiveness with that on an SRF loan. So, because of your size, and they do give principal forgiveness on some of these SRF, plus you have an opportunity to get some ARP money with that as well. So really right now is the prime time to be doing some of these projects because of the ARP funds, federal dollars, the matching dollars, even though you might have to put in a match of half, but if you have to spend 1.5 million, but you're gonna get half of it paid for, then in a couple of years, you're not gonna get the half match, so you're gonna be full boat with 1.5, so, but I realize you might not be able to handle all that in a short-term budget year. That's maybe something that needs to be planned, so something that to consider certainly budget-wise, because this year and next year, and maybe the next year, I think you might be pushing it, would be time to start considering some of these loans when you can get part of that back through some federal dollars that are gonna be granted.
But January is when we'll know on the SRF, you think we're
It should be May priority, but I'm saying it's probably gonna be strung out to the end of the year. But historically, it's May, they'll let out the priority list, the ranking, and typically, like, depending on how many federal EPA dollars are allotted, then maybe the top 15 cities would get, say, on water, typically is maybe 20 to 30% principal forgiveness. So, you got $1 million, they're gonna cover 20% of that you don't have to pay back. this year it may be more than that, is what I'm hearing. So, May typically is when we hear that priority ranking list come out. I think it may be later than that. We'll know more in the next coming couple months.
Nate, how we did it with the surf plant was we did this the same way when we had, didn't we run a moratorium? Were we not out in for several years?
Yeah.
So what we had to do, we did a SRF fund, and then whenever that was stimulus money instead of American Recovery money was released, we got, it was $8.5 million of SRF. But we got 4 million, or was it 4.5 or 4 million forgiven? It was 4.5 forgiven at a 1.75% interest rate. And then we did true depreciation. So the same format that Travis is talking about doing here, Alvin and myself, Lexi and Harry and the ones that were on the board, we had to set it up that way to be in the cycle. Then we got grants and got additional money, but it was when the money was released from stimulus money then we got that much forgiven at that low interest rate. Then we could start our depreciation then. So that's the reason, same scenario, it's just water right now.
But I think we should, what I just heard from that is, yes, we need to budget to take on some of these projects.
Yes,
And then if we
exactly.
don't get the money
We're
from
prepared.
SRM or CDGB, then we ought to start thinking about taking some proportion on them to at least do some maintenance to keep from having a catastrophic.
We've got to do it. We have no
Yes.
choice. And that's the reason SRF that has to be considered, because that goes through the comptroller, but that's, for lack of a better term, easier to get than the grants if we don't get the grants.
Yeah.
But then you've still got American Recovery money that's going to be released unless something major happens, who knows what's going on right now in DC.
Yeah, I think the way to do that, and I can sit down in a workshop and go through some of these projects, but I think there are several larger type capital projects that, both water and sewer, that I think the board should consider over the next few years on whether it's repairs or upgrades or whatnot to make sure that you're kind of trucking along like you should be and not get behind the 8 ball. And so, it's probably a good time to sit down at some point and just go through those. That way y'all have an understanding of fears. Because we went through the water and the sewer inspection process, and so I think there's a few things that would be good to just sit down and go through some upcoming capital projects that needs to be considered and look at different grants in the future, so while you still have some time.
What would happen if we had Travis at our budget meeting where we're talking about water and sewer to help us think through those issues? Is that?
We could invite him there, but I asked him also to come back, and we'd schedule him to do a workshop with us to discuss these things, just to discuss this. Because there's several options we can look at, and if we can schedule it, we were talking about before our budget meeting, then we'd have an idea of what we're doing. So he and I talked about that tonight.
Okay.
So, but yes, we can do that. I mean, we can do a marathon of meetings a day if we want to, or we can get him to come at a different time, then let him come back to budget meeting if we need him to.
I think it's a good exercise just because the grant cycles are once a year, and so if you miss that, you have to wait another year. And so if you're not careful, you could wait 3 years before anything's ever done, and then you have to, when you finally decide. So if you were to choose to do one of these grants, or if it worked out, then really you're not talking about expending that money until definitely not this next budget year, but the following budget year. So you're really, even though we're talking about getting the money this year, your next budget year, you probably won't have much done, so it will be the following one before you actually expend that money on into the next one. So you're really looking 2 budget years out from now on projects that we put an application for, just because you have to get the money, and it takes a while for that to run the cycle through those funding programs. And so if you wait a couple of years to do that, well, now you're all of a sudden 5 years out. And so these things are stretched out, unfortunately, but that's just the way it works.
So we'll schedule a meeting for him to come up for a workshop, and if we need him at the budget meeting on the 19th, we'll schedule it then, like we talked about. Okay? Anything else for Travis? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Street Department, is anything?
We just, over at Coal Mix today, we got a bunch of holy roads we gotta start working on. And it should be here tomorrow.
And you did say that you needed a lawnmower,
Right,
and it's, you'll have to get bids on it, right?
exactly.
So is it, we have to amend the budget for that? Does he have? Let's get a bid if he needs to know.
Well, you gotta see if you got the, I mean, we don't have the money yet.
So we gotta wait till, can you wait that long?
We don't have, yeah, we don't have a choice.
Well,
Yeah, we can.
you can wait until the next budget year to
Yeah.
get it, so you're talking, that'd be July 1,
Yeah.
okay? All right,
You
because
can
I
borrow
need,
my push mower if you want.
yeah,
Okay, bring it on down.
Nate's got goats or lambs or something. He's got some animals somewhere, anyway.
We have to work that through the planning commission.
Yeah, I'm not sure that'll work, you better be selling for your goats there, Nate. So, and we will have to, next time, we were gonna look at that street, the ordinance for the streets, and there's some we need to take off, and there will be, one will be adding, which I'm just gonna go ahead and let's do this. We have these first reading of ordinance 0. Does he wanna go ahead? We'll get street department, I'll step first, let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll let Dominique do his. Okay, but we've got the first reading of the ordinance 0622, which is new street. According to Sam, we need to name that, so let's come up with it was Monteagle Square at one time when it was first presented, right, Mr. Blake?
Yes, that's what it was.
So-
We all decided that somebody, well, it depends on when Sam said it was a street, it was a street.
It is a street, the section we're talking about is a street. So, we're going to name the section that we took to the end of that road there, and we need to name it with our ordinance.
As Greg Maloof used to say, point of information.
That's right.
The minor subdivision plat was sent back to me from Garrett saying the street had to be named before he would consider approving it as a minor subdivision. So I put Monteagle, I instructed the surveyor to put Monteagle Square on there.
Correct.
Try to get the minor subdivision approved.
Mhm.
So this is the third or fourth time that I've been back to Mike Berry for enhancement of drawings or whatever you want to call it. But as of right now, there's 6 copies of the minor subdivision, and it says Monteagle Square.
Because that's what it
Or it did
was.
say New Road, it said New Road, and I said, that's the name of it, they can change the name later. He would not accept that. So you can never name a street New Road, okay?
Okay, well, the thing is, years ago, you discussed this, it was called Monteagle Square, when it was supposed to have been
Yeah.
developed. So, back to the question at hand, which, to keep Mr. Lake from having to have his,
You can change the name of the street anytime, I guess.
I think we should name it New Road.
no, we're not naming it New Road because it's gonna,
No,
we're
Garrett
not.
won't let you have that.
Anyway, it's back to 0622, which everybody doesn't want to be entertained tonight, but they do will entertain them at the end of the meeting. An ordinance of the town of Monteagle accepting a new street behind the Sonic Restaurant, platted and approved by the Planning Commission in July 2008, which at that time, it was called Monteagle Square, because it was going to be developed with a hotel and with other restaurants and
Well,
maybe.
the road will be extended and go, that's
So-
just like a 12-acre tract there, and the way they had laid it out for development, it was a square. They thought that the town needed some kind of landmark, since it didn't have a downtown square, they came up with that.
So, if there's not.
Well, we can't name it New Road.
Okay, so,
You're gonna have an extra long sign if you name it Monteagle Square. Name it Sunset Drive, because that's where Sunset Rock is, right?
no, it has its own
I mean, it's
now.
further on
That's a
down.
$1 million view, there's more letters than $1 million view than there is
Well,
Monteagle
where's
Square.
Sunset Rock?
Out
It's
behind
on
the
there?
assembly.
Oh, okay.
On Sunset
So,
Drive.
yeah, it's on Sunset Drive, so if you put Monteagle Square, it's pretty simple, yeah. Let's just do some, if we have a motion to name the
Yes,
code,
I'll make a motion.
what are you naming it?
Monteagle Square?
Do you have a second? It's Monteagle Square. I'll second. Okay. Do you want a roll call?
No, I don't like
Okay.
it, but I don't have
Okay,
to.
all right, so, can we just, all in favor? Opposed? So it's now, we did the first reading on Monteagle Square. So, you can call it wherever you want to. Okay, now, Dominique, does he want to come up and finish? Yeah. You want to go do your baseball report, sir?
Thanks, sorry. Okay, so, hi everyone. The first thing that I'm going to mention is that we're requesting assistance in terms of people to help run the concession stand and to have umpires to ump the games. So if you know anyone interested, let me know. And you can email maybe town hall and we can connect. So the number of teams we have this season are 3. We have 34 players according to the online registration. We have a 10U team and 12U team for baseball and a 12U team for softball. We're still waiting on the final schedules, but there are a lot of Monday games scheduled this season at 7 p.m. And some updates we have about the ball field. The widening of the baselines as of last week had not happened yet due to rain, but it's scheduled to happen. Also last week, regarding mule mix, we need it from the co-op to be picked up, so I've been talking to Alvin about that, and we're going to figure out how that's going to get done. And then we need to figure out where to store it as well. I've been emailing Deb a lot recently about equipment and stuff, but then we've also been talking about chalk, the powdered chalk for the field. So Deb has ordered it, which is great. And we requested at least 15 bags for the season, as per Alvin's recommendation. Another thing that we've been working on is the light situation, because there are too many lights outfield and not enough lights at home plate. So Dennis Jacobs was working to see if we could get that rearranged so that some of those lights could be moved to home plate. And if not, for Sequatchie Valley Electric Co-op to install more lights for safety at home plate. Next week, Jessica and I will be hanging the banners in the outfield at 1 p.m. This Saturday. And the banners are coming from donors, so we actually have over $4,000 in donations this season for the baseball and softball program, so that's great. And then also regarding the fence, apparently a truck smashed into it or something, so we're looking into getting quotes for that, for repairs. And Keith Butner is working on that. And regarding the concession stand, again, we're waiting for the final freeze to freeze so that we can turn on the water again. And we also need to restock the stand and once again recruit people to help work at the games. So again, contact me if you're interested. The dugouts were installed, so thank you to the UPP for that donation. And another way to support the program is to attend the games. So once we do get the schedule finalized, we'll be publishing it so that the community can support us. That's it.
And the employees install the benches, right? So we want
Yeah.
to thank them for doing
Yeah, of course.
the
Thanks.
installation of putting those benches in, because I know it took a lot of time and skill with that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you
somebody
guys.
else needs to take over on the fence. We've got,
We started calling today,
Yeah.
and we're going to get quotes on the fence, because you gave us that, but we started trying
we
to
did
find
get the
some-
helipad lights working.
Yeah.
That happened at the same time.
And you were talking about light.
Yeah.
Now, are y'all the lights over home plate?
Yeah,
What are we doing, or,
those lights that's on the cluster there at home plate, it's real dark, and they don't even burn it all now. We're just gonna take a couple out of the outfield where it's well lit, bring them in, set them on that post there in the home plate, you got lights on. Because they're so old, you can't buy orange lights.
so do y'all have somebody to do that yet?
Dennis is looking into
Okay,
it.
so he's planning on getting it done for y'all.
If not, we'll just have to try to get Scotchy Valley to.
I thought the sound couldn't do it.
Well, he first said no, and he said he'd try to help us out if he had, if we could get,
Okay.
it'd be after case.
Well, it's getting close to have to, isn't it? So,
Let me see if first game?
The first game is the first Monday of April, so I think it's the 4th, the 3rd at 7 p.m. And it'll be the softball team playing.
But the fence has gotta be fixed before the
Yeah.
first game, right?
And we started working on calling people today, because Butler talked to us and gave us the footage on it, so if you know anybody that works on fences, give us the number, town hall, so we can come get quotes, because it's 80 feet
80 feet of
to
the
6
6 foot
foot
and about 10 feet of the pool.
of the floor, so we gotta get that repaired. Apparently a truck ran over it, turning around there at the Chinese restaurant or something. So,
I'll send you some names, I have a
Yeah,
list,
so,
I have a list
yeah.
of vendors I use.
if you'll just send them, that'll be really helpful. So does anyone else have any questions for Dominic?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now building inspector's not here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, the building inspector's not here, but he did submit a business permit for Village Laundry and Coffee Shop, which is in the Country Mart. And we've already approved the bill permit, the bigger permit early in the beer board meeting. So I think you have that in your packet there. Do we have, and of course, Mr. Lawrence, he's here, he spoke with us earlier. If anyone has any questions for him, but he'll be moving into Country Mart. So, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, welcome, and she'll get your business permit. When then, she gives you a call, or you can give her a call. They'll give it to her. Okay. Then we're gonna move over, we have, of course, Janet and Greg's been working on town hall meetings, but Janet's here to present, because I'd asked them that as we work on the strategic plan of Monteagle. She's going to present about that, and she's also the secretary of the planning commission, so she's going to give us a little briefing on that.
Which one do you want first?
Go ahead and do the planning commission, and then we'll do the community event.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a summary of the planning commission meetings, the regional planning commission meetings from January 2022, February 2022, and March 22. In January, Cooley's Rift plat was approved as presented, and there were no new building or business permits issued. In February, the Planning Commission officers were elected: President Ivor Michelle Russell, Vice President Richard Black, Secretary Janet Miller-Schmidt. There will be a Planning Commission page on the Monteagle website to help citizens and businesses know when they need to come before the commission, whether they need to get building permits, go to the Southeastern Tennessee Regional Development District for guidance and land use, etc. That's on the website when it's posted. The state of Tennessee list of native plants was discussed as a possible ordinance for the town of Monteagle, and the model IDA IES, which is regarding downlighting and properties, will be reviewed and to be used for development and updated lighting ordinance for the town. Then the town building inspector requested the building permit application be put online, and it is now posted online. And there were no new building and business permits at that time. In March, the commission recommended to the council the adoption of Section 708, the plant classification, which lists native species by the state of Tennessee. The commission accepted the list, and it was recommended, as I said, to the council for adoption. And then there's further discussion regarding the IDA IES model lighting ordinance and with the town building inspector. Then the planning commission page is still under examination by the mayor and the town building inspector, so it hasn't been posted. The commission is reviewing the idea of an agricultural zone to the town ordinances. Further studies being done regarding that possibility, and there are no new business and building permits were issued in March. Okay, the town hall meetings, we've had two of them, February 15th and March 15th. They were moderated by Greg Maloof and myself. The mayor asked for us to get the citizens involved in developing a comprehensive land use map for the town. Mapping will be done in 3 phases. We were working on phase 1 concerning the infrastructure, quality of life, workforce opportunities, and maintaining town properties between interstate exits 134 and 135. We're using a tagline called Moving Monteagle Forward for the meetings, and they're posted on the website, and the meetings are being posted on the website, and Jessica's put them on the community page, and we sometimes get them out on the post office and the Piggly Wiggly and other places so people can see them. We've had 30 people, more or less, come to the meetings. Some of the discussions that the infrastructure that people brought up were they were concerned about water and sewage with new development coming to town, road improvement, like drainage, erosion mitigation, Laurel Lake runoff for the water, and they were trying to promote development between the 2 interstate exits. Quality of life, the attendees were pleased to have a paid fire chief and a code enforcer. They want separation between the interchange commercial and downtown business areas. They want to encourage tourism. Someone suggested possibly a property tax to help generate revenue. They want to get rid of trashy properties. They want public involvement in developing the central business corridor. They want more sidewalks, and they want to get neighborhood groups going, like Neighbors Helping Neighbors or Neighborhood Watch going, and more affordable housing and gathering spaces for the community. That was the quality of life. For the workforce opportunities, they wanted affordable housing, businesses to promote the culture of Monteagle, problems, they listed problems for finding employees. They want collaboration with Grundy High for perhaps technical and trade schools. And they want to promote a visitor center. They want cooperation between the 3 counties that Monteagle is in. And they want mental health and addiction health services. For town ownership and maintaining properties, they suggested scheduling routine maintenance, expansion of the water and sewage plant, distribution of citizens, to distribute to the citizens the quality of water report. We explained that it was in the newspaper, but they didn't seem to think that was enough. More citizens input for local government budget, better maintenance of landscaping outside of the government buildings, better representation and leadership. At the second meeting, we had council members there, and they addressed the concerns that were brought up at the first meeting, which were from the infrastructure, the quality of life, the workforce opportunities, and the town ownership of maintaining properties. And the citizens asked for the agendas to be published before the meetings, and the mayor said that they would be published before the meetings online. And the next meeting of the town hall will be held April 19th, 5 to 7 at Morton Memorial United Methodist Church Fellowship Hall. All citizens and businesses are encouraged to take part in the final Moving Monteagle Forward Phase 1 meeting. Meetings for Phase 2 and 3 will be scheduled later in the year or when. So that's the report. I hope it didn't go too fast.
I think you're okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Janet, when is the meeting at Morton?
March 19th.
Here,
April.
I'm sorry,
April 19th, from 5 to 7.
And this is the flyer, and it's already posted.
It's online, and we're gonna get it out of the places. Thank you, Janet.
So we got a summary of the town hall meeting at the first meeting. Are we gonna get one for the second one?
They've got
Because
it.
I wasn't here.
I'm working on that, and I'll get it sent out to everybody like I did the last time, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
I still
All right. So now we're going over to old business. which is the second reading of the ordinance 0522, the budget amendment, where, find it? Got a lot of budget amendments here. Which is, okay. It's the budget ordinance amendment, it's the ordinance amendment for the budget of the town of Monteagle for the fiscal year of 21-22, where we're going, we had a decrease where we bought the fire, for the fire department, where we bought the truck. So there was donations that came in. There was a decrease of $6,480, and then we will be amending it, making that $6,480 back into capital asset replacement funds. So we're taking the money we took out and putting it back in there. And this will be the second reading on 0522.
Thank you again to all our folks who donated. It was needed.
Yes, and we'll need a roll call vote if we have a motion to approve the second reading.
I'll make the motion to approve this budget amendment on the second reading.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Nate?
Yes?
Alvin?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Doreen?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And yes, thank everyone who donated and worked on that. It really meant a lot. So then the next one is the first reading on the ordinance of 0722, plat classification, which was recommended by the planning commission. And the reason that was is to make sure that the plants that we were using were the same plants that the state is with wetlands. If you look at the section, because we did get a phone call to make sure only around the wetlands that the state does dictate what kind of plants there. Once they look through our list, they are consistent with what we have in our landscaping. But an ordinance to amend the section 708 plant classifications of the zoning ordinance of the town of Monteagle. 7.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 07-22 to amend the section 708 plant classifications.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then next is a resolution 0122, and that is where we can apply for the CDBG grant for the water storage improvements that, of course, Mr. Travis got up and he discussed on what we're trying to do to, that goes, we'll have to have a public hearing on that one. So, and you have the resolution in your packet.
We're on 122, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And a resolution is just one, so the applications can be applied for.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve resolution number 01-22.
Okay.
Second.
All in, does one need a roll call? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so there's that one. Then we'll go over to Alderman. Nate?
Just some clarification, so I'm working through the streetlights. We've got, at the town meeting, somebody came up to me with some that need to be repaired. So I'm gonna send Sam an email on that and CC Debbie so that everybody's in the loop on that. And then I've got a couple that either don't work or the houses that were near them have long since gone away. So I'll send that email out to both Sam and Debbie. So it'll repair some and pull some off our register. I still have not moved through town yet. It's a slow project, but making a little progress.
Okay, thank you, we appreciate it. Alvin?
I don't have
Jessica?
I don't have anything.
Lorraine?
I don't think I do either.
Okay, well, we're gonna make this quick before we go to
I'll
citizens.
remember it later, but I don't think I do.
All right, I did give each one of y'all a draft of the contract of Green Spot at the workshop, and I've sent that out to the attorney to review. That would be replacing the EV charging stations out here and finding other locations in the town for those. The way it would work, it would be on town's property. It will not cost us anything. And once a year, we'll get a percentage of whatever monies are made back. Of course, that, since it's a contract, Sam's reviewing that before we do anything with it. The other thing, Nate, I did invite you, since the ROW field review notification did come out, and I did think everyone would want to go. Myself, Nate, you are welcome to come if you want to. On April the 7th at 10 o'clock, I've been asked to go, and it's for the field work review for the replacement of the bridge at 124, and they're going to redesign the intersection there. And so Butler, of course, the railroads director, and John with utilities, I've asked them if they would go with us because there's a request they go as well, so they can review this and they can discuss this. And then we'll know when they're planning on starting on the bridge at the 124 exit. As you know, we have the lights working. How is it, 134? I think that Butler said all those were working again, and we were getting. Of course, Greg had got his quotes on working on the ones on the 135 exit, but if they're going to totally redesign it, it's another $15,000 total to get the lights done. Well, there's 9,400 here, there's 2,500 here, so it's right around 15,000 for us to do that. Then they're going to be coming down. And the state did contact me last week and said while they're doing their design, they will design those lights for us for free. So I said, well, that we would, of course, be sort of silly not to accept them designing them for free with their design, but the maintenance will be our place to take care of the ones and stuff. And we'll know more of that after April the 7th. But we'll see what's going on with the bridge and the redesign of that exit. So, and as far as that, I think that that's all we have to discuss. Do we have any citizens that have something they want to say? Surely not. 3 minutes. Come on. You have the floor,
I don't
sir.
know how long it'll take. It's an issue.
Well, come forward. We'll let you.
It's a minor. It has the word minor in it. The minor subdivision regulations is what I'm here to talk to you about. And you would think the word minor subdivision would mean it would probably be a simple thing to do. But it's not here in the town of Monteagle. It is in other places, but it's not here because your planner elects for it not to be. This is the minor subdivision that I've been working on for 3 months, I guess. And it's really no different than a regular subdivision plan. And yeah,
Yeah, you can
you have to have
pass
6
one
copies
down
of the
for
minor
everybody to
subdivision.
sign them.
I don't know, but anyway, if you look at the history of that project, it goes back, started in December, and you can look on there and it tells how many revisions that the surveyor had done here somewhere. You got it listed here somewhere, there's 5 or 6. Down here. The dates and so
Okay.
forth.
So 12/15 to 3/16. Here we are.
And a minor subdivision is that you're just subdividing a piece of property. It's not a site plan. There's no building shown on it. Doesn't have to be. May never be. You're just taking a piece of property and you're cutting out a portion of it. And it's supposed to be where it's simple to go through the planning commission or the planner and review, and you don't have to go to the planning commission meeting and wait the timeline and some of the other things. And Franklin County, or nearby county, went down and asked them about their minor subdivision regulations and asked for copies of 3 minor subdivisions that was approved and recorded in the Franklin County Register of Deeds office by different surveyors and asked them for their regulation. And lo and behold, it's a minor issue on getting that done. and the lady that's the planner down there, I think her name was Janet, she was very helpful. And she says we do it in-house, and she says there's no issues on the process. She said, no, we have issues sometimes on, that they don't comply with TCA or whatever it is. But I have emailed and talked, and we've had meetings, and at one meeting here, I think Alvin made a motion on some of it that this was all you need to go forward. At the Planning Commission the next time, it was everything's in order, won't be any problems. And then I get a red line copy from the planner, and the email said, he called and the email said some minor issues. And so I asked him to send me an email, and he did, which was now. And some of them are just clerical, but the red line issues is what he sent back. And again, he had said at the last Planning Commission meeting that there weren't any issues. Then when I talked to him about some of these issues, like the road and the ordinance, he said that he had consulted with the mayor and the city attorney, and that the council had taken in the new street right-of-way and the cul-de-sac, and I told him that was not the case. And so he informed me that it could not be done as a minor subdivision. It would have to come before the Planning Commission. I met with the mayor, and she can tell you those issues. And one of the new ones he threw in had never been discussed. From what I've been told, he has a history of throwing things in after he's reviewed. And most inspections you get on, if it's electrical inspection or Earl's inspection or whatever, if there's issues, they'll write you up on the deficiencies, and then you correct those deficiencies, and you can't go back and revisit the whole thing. But look at the bottom of the red line there, right up above the legend, he added, show boundary, deed book, and page for the Mountain Goat Trail easement along the front of this property.
There is a
Oh,
rule.
That's
And he had no business bringing that up. And you have a problem with your planner in dealing with people that want to have a minor subdivision, that want to have site plans. He needs to be reeled in, or I don't know what you need to do. I'm not blaming the commission here, but I am saying that there's an old saying, if you're not the solution, then you're the problem. And I think y'all need to discuss it and look at it and see what, check what Franklin County does. Franklin County has a whole lot more business in the town of Monteagle.
Well, now Franklin County, as you and I discussed, do have a full-time person working there. I mean,
Yeah.
and I do, you said you'd get this and we can review what we do to make sure that we can be more efficient in what we're doing. And
Well, it's harassment. This is harassment.
when you brought it to me, did I not do what I told
Yes,
you would?
yes.
I watched the tape.
Yes.
I sent him a copy of the tape,
Yeah.
and I told him it was incorrect and to move forward with it.
But look at my minor subdivision. Is it completed?
Well, and the mountain goat was supposed to be removed. I don't know.
Well,
I
it
don't know where
is,
that
but
came
but
from.
why did it get on there anyway?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Kinda
I asked the
strange.
same question, and I'll ask it again.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm meeting with the CETA tomorrow, and I will ask a lot of these questions tomorrow.
Well, it needs to be changed.
Well,
It needs to be user-friendly to the people that are trying
exactly right.
to divide their property or do a site plan or do any business for the town of Monteagle. And I'm not blaming you. You've been very cooperative. You've met with me. You've gone over it. I'm just saying, I'm not blaming anyone on the city commission right now, because I think you probably were unaware of some of the issues,
We were.
okay? And now you're aware of them. And again, in a few months, if nothing changes, then I would assume you're part of the problem.
Yep.
And a couple of other things. Tonight, they were talking about need city property tax, need more revenue. We can't afford Easter eggs. We've asked for donations or the prizes at the town hall meeting. If you look at your city attorney's bill for February, and I've got copies of all of them since he's been the city attorney, but if you look on February the 9th, his bill says research the issue of Sonic Road, extensive memorandum, and a telephone conference with Mayor Rodman. That cost you $475, okay? The next day, on February the 10th, he did further research. Now, he throws in a court execution on there. But review and revise the opinion regarding Sonic Road. Emails with Garrett Haynes regarding the same. And that costs you $400. And that's where the first opinion said it was a city street. But after further research and emails with Garrett Haynes, it all of a sudden that it's not a city street. And it costs you $875 for that little go-around. You go down to February the 11th, emails regarding Sonic Road, continued research on collection of municipal fines. That just costs you $125. February the 14th, further advice and counsel on Sonic Road. I don't know how much more advice you needed there.
They're expensive, you know it.
That cost you $75. On February the 23rd, a telephone conference with Garrett Haynes and review materials pertinent to the acceptance of road and lay development. Well, first of all, it's not lay's development. Never has been. And then there was some other business there. Anyway, that cost $500 that you paid. And that's a lot of money for a minor subdivision. I think that's a waste of the taxpayers' money. It's uncalled for. It serves no useful purpose. And it'd buy a lot of Easter eggs.
Well, let me clarify this though, Dan, and I mean, before he was even consulted, because it was never determined it was a road, regardless whether it was Dean Lane's or it was Doreen Parmley's. We had to do the research to find out if it was a road legally, because roads are expensive. You knew that.
You got two legal opinions. One said it was, one said it wasn't.
Well, I didn't ask for
Cost
two.
$850.
I didn't ask for two, but that's what happened after you start pursuing something.
Well, it only become not, it didn't, he took it back when he consulted with Garrett Haynes.
Well, I didn't know.
Well, it's right here on the bill.
Yeah, well, I know it's on the
It
bill.
speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And aside from all that, it doesn't need to be this complicated.
No, it doesn't. And that's one of the reasons that we have this right here, where I can go back and watch it, and I didn't pay him to watch it. I watched it whenever you came and told me about it, and then I sent an email, and I didn't
Yes,
send you the
and I
we took
appreciate,
care of
I said you've been very cooperative.
So, what I'm saying though, that's the reason we have this, where we don't have to consult.
But we
with
don't
attorneys.
need this. We need to tell Garrett Haynes that he works for the town of Monteagle.
We have told him.
He doesn't have free reign to terrorize people that want a minor subdivision.
Okay.
And it's time for that to stop. It's also time to quit spending $850 for two opinions. One says yes and one says no.
Yeah, and that shouldn't have happened.
Does anybody else feel any differently?
Well, I've said all along, we've got too many rules and regulations to cover too many rules and regulations.
So we're trying to get rid of them.
I mean, I agree with you. This should have been easy.
Well, I would like for the minutes to reflect that I have come before the council and made the remarks concerning the minor subdivision, that the articles there from Franklin County, or the paperwork from Franklin County Planning Commission, be made part of the minutes, and the page of your city attorney with the fees be made a part of the city minutes. Because when you listen to minutes, it seems like everything is rosy and everybody loves everybody, and it's almost heaven. And in reality, it's far from it.
Well,
Do you agree that we need a city planner?
Yes,
Okay. And I'm asking because
Yes.
I don't know.
it's very important, I think. But they need to have constraint and supervision, and they work for the town of Monteagle, just as the engineer works for the town of Monteagle, or Butner, or whoever. And to give them free rein, it is not good for the town of Monteagle. It's a waste of money for them to contact the city attorney. And if you look through all the pages, I would encourage y'all to get you a copy of the billing from the city attorney and read what you're paying for. And to date, I think it was over $38,000. Now, some of it, you got to have a city attorney. You got to pay for it. But you also have impasse that you can rely on in some of those cases. And you were charged $1,000 for him to come up here and have a meeting, conduct the meeting.
For Sam or Gary?
That was Sam.
Yeah, now Garrett, through they're contracted through Southeast Tennessee Development District. And you got a $1,125 bill for extensive meetings. I hope it would be extensive. With clients at Southeast Tennessee Development, preparation of language relative to zoning ordinance, email of timeline and procedures, draft proposed, to bill 4.5 hours, $1,125.
That was for the lawsuit we're in before the insurance took it.
And, let's see, and I'll quit here in just a minute. Preparation for and attend the Zoom meeting of Monteagle Board of Mayor and Aldermen, $900. Now, no lawsuit required that. That's because y'all wanted it. Emails regarding zoning issues, prepare for and attend the regular meeting of Monteagle Town Council via Zoom, $975. And we need a city tax, and we can't buy Easter eggs.
I've never seen that breakdown.
You remember the Zoom meeting, it was 4 hours?
Yeah, but I mean, I've never seen
I
it
haven't,
breakdown.
I mean, I'm not pulled it out like that, I just know. that
Well,
it
I came up here and met with the mayor, went online, filled out a public records request form, and she had Debbie sign it. It was done on March the 11th, and it was just a couple of days that Debbie called and said, I've got your information ready for you. Very helpful. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm not saying that the mayor or y'all have done anything wrong, other than now you're aware of what I think is a serious couple of issues concerning the town, and you guys are empowered to make changes if you agree. If you don't agree, then just don't do anything. And we'll just keep right on trucking down the road like we are.
Well, we're looking at making changes anyhow, and we've discussed that, and we do plan on making changes. You and I discussed that in the office. Some things we cannot make a change till after April, but then we do plan on making a lot of changes.
Okay, well, I would hope that my issues would be reflected in the city minutes, and there would be a permanent record
There is.
of at least one person thinking that not everything is, peachy. I'm gonna say hunky-dory, but you might take offense to that.
Well,
So,
no,
but
there's a
thank
lot
you.
of things that are not
I know, I
hunky-dory
went over my
or
3
peachy.
minutes, but thank you.
So, but
Dean, I'm sorry that happened, and I had the same issue with him, and I apologize, because I pushed back on him on the issues that showed up on my site plan, because they were not, the zoning ordinance didn't require the things on the site plan he was asking me to put on there,
Right.
and I simply told him that, and he removed them.
When
But I
was
think
yours,
the
Nate?
next step, that was the minor,
You want us to keep on this?
that was the subdivision for this section here on the Bow Street. It was a lot more complicated than it should have been, and I think I've told some of y'all, he wanted me to put cell phone numbers of neighbors, and they don't need their cell phone numbers in City Hall, in the registrar's office. It's just gonna encourage somebody to call them up and,
harass them.
and it's nowhere in the ordinance did they ask for it, so it didn't need to be there. And there were a couple of other things like
But
that.
if Franklin County can operate Franklin County on a simple procedure there, I would assume that the town of Monteagle could, if they were willing to do that, or at least have a pilot project to try it.
So I think we could give him some general instructions that say we need to be talking about substantive issues on the site plan, because we need a planner, we need the site plan to be right, but he just goes down some rabbit holes maybe a solution is to simply define exactly what goes into a site plan.
This is what Dean just gave us, which Dean did tell us.
Was
that
that the Franklin
This is
County
Franklin
checklist?
County,
Yeah.
and we can use their checklist, and we can actually consult with other people to make sure it's fine without calling the attorney. And then if that works, then we can submit and say, this is what we want on our site plan.
I've done several minor divisions with Janet in the Franklin County office. It's completely different. And
So,
It's a pretty wonderful experience.
and you did say you would get that, so we could utilize it. We do appreciate it. Thank you, because you told me you'd do the research, so we could get it from Franklin County.
Thank you.
So,
And so again, I apologize, I didn't bring it up further. I threatened to bring it up further with him at city council if he didn't make some changes, and he made changes to mine, and I should have.
Well, this time, because I'm up here jumping up and down screaming and hollering, but what about all the people that have to come up here and deal with him, and they won't come up here and raise hell about it?
And I didn't know that Nate had all the issues, that he didn't, I mean, you didn't bring it before the council, so
No,
they're
and
coming
that's,
to you.
again, that's my
And
fault.
it's not a fault, but now we've got a problem, we
Well,
need
now
to
we
fix
know.
it. We've got to fix it for the record. It goes with there. And now the council knows it. So, you want to come up?
Is Anya taking over for Garrett, or is
We're
Garrett?
not sure right
Oh.
now. There's a lot of changes going on over there. There's people retiring, there's people moving in positions, so we've got 2 people that have been working, but they haven't told us for sure.
Okay, I didn't know if that would resolve the issue or not. He was on his way out anyway, so, thank you.
I don't know that one's any better than the other.
We also need to have a checklist. I do agree with Dean that he's got us one from Franklin County. And, you know, that way we can record things.
And he's training her, so now's the time to do it.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good there. That's it. You're just making
So sad.
sense. Okay, does anyone else, any other citizens have anything to say? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm not on, you can only do one minor
You
division.
know, actually,
In all municipalities,
Can
you
you
only
go
do
turn
one.
off her phone?
yes.